All right, we are live. Sunny days in Flushing. Finally a win after three straight losses, getting swept
Feels
by the
like forever.
Dodgers. Yep. We were dead wrong. Me and Zach, last time you saw us, predicted the Mets would beat the Giants 2 out of 3, beat the Dodgers 2 out of 3. We were trying to be optimistic, and we were foolish.
Very much so.
But so it goes. That's life. God hates us. We're Mets fans. Couple things have happened since we last met outside of the Mets losing. Let's start with the easiest one. Diaz on the 15-day IL.
I mean, yeah, it's obviously a big blow, and you don't want to see this guy get injured, especially after missing all of last year. But you hope it's not a real shoulder injury, and you hope it's really just a phantom IL stint to get a little mental recoup day, which I really think it is. It kind of came out of nowhere. He hasn't really been showing any signs of fatigue, but I'm no doctor, so I guess we'll see in the coming days. We'll learn more about it if it really was an actual shoulder injury, or if it was more of a yeah, you have a shoulder injury and just go sit at home with your wife and do something to get your mind right.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I hope that's what it is. I hope it's a phantom IL stint, and 15 days from now, we're watching him, warm up, to come into the seventh or eighth inning or whatever it may be,
Yeah.
of a game. It sucks. It sucks to see how much this guy's fallen. To see him at the top of his game, dominate in whatever, one or two games of the World Baseball Classic last year, tear his patellar tendon, not see him, and it's almost like you wonder if, and it's like it's hindsight's 2020 is what I'm looking for here.
Yeah.
Hindsight's
100%.
2020 with Diaz, because like part of me, when I saw him start to decline this year, I kind of thought, like, would it have been beneficial for him to have come back last year, even if it was just for a couple of games, just to reassure himself that he's okay and he's back to where he was and all that. And I mean, listen, hindsight's 2020. Like,
Who knows?
something else could have happened in that moment.
Exactly.
It genuinely made no sense. So, but it's frustrating. It's frustrating, and it's all mental. We've said it before. Kind of
Stuff's
say it
still
again.
there.
His stuff is there. He's down a tick on his velocity, like you said the other day.
Now
But
they'll come back.
yeah,
I mean, it's all mental. I mean, the stuff is still there. The slider still can be electric at times. He just throws it too much, and when it gets flat, it's what they're sitting. That's the problem. When they're sitting one pitch and he throws one that's hanging over the middle on a tee, it's these guys are professionals. They're in the major leagues, getting paid millions and millions of dollars for a reason. They're going
and
to crush the fuck out of
and
the ball.
professional hitters know when you're a pitcher out there and you're lacking your confidence. Like, they know.
Oh, they smell blood in the water. They're
Absolutely.
like sharks. They're like
Absolutely.
sharks.
Nate
They're ready to
Lavender
attack.
Nate Lavender had said it in spring training this year when they were talking to him about throwing 92, and he said 92 could be just, I'm paraphrasing, but 92 could be as effective as 96, 97 if you're throwing with conviction. And these hitters, professional hitters, know damn well when you are not throwing with conviction, when you are not confident in yourself, you're not confident in your ball placement. And he's very slider reliant. He's so hesitant to throw that fastball. So yeah, this is kind of what we're seeing. And to kind of put a bow on this, I hope this is a mental reset for him. I hope he goes back to Puerto Rico for a week and stays with his family and kind of resets and
Whatever he needs.
just mentally gets
And you
back
got
into
15 days.
yeah, just get back to where you need to be. If that means being away from the team, which probably is what it's going to be, then so be it. Then that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, especially with all the chaos going on right now.
Oh my God, forget it. And actually, speaking of chaos, I mean, we might as well just bring it up. Not going to spend too much time on it, but Jorge Lopez basically has a mental breakdown after getting thrown out of a game by an umpire, throws his glove into the stands. You guys all saw the video. Were the Mets wrong for cutting him, Zach?
No. I mean, I think that there's two ways they could have went about it, and it's either cutting him or suspending him without pay. I mean, there's no other ways around it. Like, look, I hope it seems like he's a great guy, and there's been no other history of doing anything like this or doing any malicious anything of maliciousness while he's in his career, but you can't go and throw your glove into the stands. I mean, it's not like you're throwing a baseball in there as a souvenir for someone to catch. You're throwing something in the stands that could potentially hurt someone, and it just reflects poorly on yourself as a person and the club. Now, a lot of people were speculating that the Mets should have had a translator there for him, but apparently he declined it. So who really knows?
I think that's worse. I don't think it's that bad to throw your glove into the stands. I mean, it's immature, it's inappropriate, but like we're adults, we can get over that. I think what was so
on top
much
of
worse,
comments, I think it was blown out of proportion by the media, but I think the writing was on the wall there. Clearly, they didn't have a good conversation. I mean, apparently they spoke.
I disagree. You come out and you say we're the worst fucking team in the league. And don't get me wrong, they're playing like it. But
he said he was the worst teammate. It was misquoted by the media. That's why it was kind of blown out of proportion by the media.
They asked him 3 times. Is that what you mean?
And yeah, I mean, but the thing is he's also someone that isn't fluent in the language. Yeah. He didn't grow up speaking the language. So it's like at that point,
brings you back to the translator point.
Yeah, but apparently he declined it. So it's a whole thing. Like for me, look, I hope everything was done respectfully, and it seems like there's not a ton of ill will there. I mean, who knows? It seems like most of it's directed at the media, and they're blowing it out of proportion and misquoting him. But at the end of the day, this isn't like us losing Francisco Lindor, Brandon Nimmo, one of the big guys. This is losing a guy that's a middle reliever, and it's like I wish him the best. I hope he gets another job somewhere else and he plays well, but his time was up here. It's as simple as that.
Zach, I never grabbed my charger, so I do have to do that. I guess my one counter to what you had just said is that I do remember last year in Minnesota, he, I guess, left halfway into the year, mental health related issues.
You might be right.
He did. And so for me, once I saw this blow up, my head immediately went to that. And I was like, okay, looks like he's kind of having another one of those breakdowns. So yeah, there's one of two ways. And I do think that you just hope that the Mets didn't put their foot in their mouth here, because, and I guess probably what threw them over, I have to imagine what threw them over the edge was not throwing the glove, but the comments after, whether they're misconstrued or not. That's probably what threw this over the edge. Yeah. But there was one of two ways of going about this, and you could either cut him like they did, or you basically say like, Jorge is going to go on the IL for some mental health, whatever.
Suspend him. I mean, he wasn't going to be with the club for some time, with those because he was cut, suspended. IL.
You have to spend that money anyway. You have to spend that money on his contract anyway. So I'm just saying that was another path you could have went, where you kind of, I don't know, you worked with him with a psychologist, or I don't really know what you would do there, but you could have worked with him mentally there, or you cut him like you did. The only thing that and I would hope we never see this from a Brandon Nimmo or a Francisco Lindor or somebody else. I don't think we ever will, but understand that now you've set a precedent. You have set a precedent, like when you're a team and you have these hard rules, well, they're rules for everybody. They're not just rules for middle relievers. They're not just rules for rookies or, whatever fringe roster guys. They are rules for everyone. And so I just hope that they didn't put their foot in their mouth with what they did. And I'm not saying that it was bad, but it's just, it's just something there. I'm going to go get my charger, get us going on Jeff McNeil.
That's actually a perfect segue.
I know you're going to have fun with this.
Yeah. I mean, look, while he's gone, I mean, this is a perfect segue because someone like Jorge Lopez, who knows how much the locker room culture has attributed to what happened the other night with him. I mean, clearly there's the things are kind of all over the place there. And I think Jeff McNeil could be part of the problem. I'm not going to say he is the problem because I really don't think he is. I think it's an amalgamation of things with this whole ball club, not having the right identity, not having the right culture. And I think it's time he might be gone, Jeff McNeil. I mean, clearly things were in 2021 when the rat in the
raccoon
in the clubhouse, raccoon, whatever the fuck it was in the clubhouse. I mean, clearly that was bullshit. And it speaks a lot to what Tommy Pham had said last year. I mean, clearly there was some fire, where he wasn't blowing smoke up our ass. There was some fire there. And it really shows who the true leaders are and who are the true, guys that are going to step up in this clubhouse. And Jeff McNeil is in amongst them. It's your Lindors, your Nimos, and your Alonzos. And I think Jeff McNeil his time is running thin. I mean, you have Jose Iglesias up here now. You have Acuna who's catching fire down in AAA, and he hasn't been performing. It's not like he's hitting the cover off the ball. So I think it's about time he's gone. And if things don't turn around quickly, it might happen a lot quicker than anyone might think.
Yeah. We might be in a scenario where this team, and I don't think so, but we might be in a scenario where this team comes back from London in a week or two, and he's just not with the team anymore. I don't think it'll happen that quick, but like,
neither do
I don't know what else to say. I've tried so many times to defend Jeff McNeil. I've tried to look at it from every angle possible. The guy, like the way we talk about Edwin, McNeil's had a complete fall from grace. Yeah. And I don't know how much you could salvage it. And it does start to look like there is a problem. As much as Lindor will always say that, because Lindor is a leader. And,
he's playing good, he's playing bad. He answers the bell. He's out there talking to the media in the good times and in the bad times.
No, he'll never bring the locker room nonsense out into the open.
Nope.
And he'll always say that things are good, and who knows, but I don't know. I mean, McNeil's a liability. He went from a solid, plus defensive player in left field and second base to now almost a liability out there.
Yeah.
And at the plate, there's literally nothing he could do. Can't get on base. Can't get hits. Can't hit for power. So, and you have no speed. You're rail thin and you have no speed. So I don't know. And it sucks because McNeil was like, he's from California, but he's like this like gritty, almost a douchebag that you like, that you want on your team. I mean, that's how I looked at him. Like, he was this like fucking dirtbag, but you loved him because he always found a way to get on base and he was a clutch hitter and all of those things. And he seemed like for a long time got along with everybody. And, I had seen hints of this. I had kind of heard Jerry Blevins talk about McNeil a little bit. And just some other former players. And I had gotten hints of this, but the one thing I could always tell is that it does genuinely seem like Pete Alonso and Jeff are best friends. Like, it does seem like they get, 100%. You don't notice that?
No, I really haven't, to be honest.
Absolutely. I mean, those are two guys that I always see together. But outside of that, I don't really know what else to say.
It's a weird thing because, like you said, you were always defending him, and so was I. I mean, up until this year, really, there was a lot to defend. He came up and he showed he was a great hitter, and he had a great knowledge of the strike zone and a great hand-eye coordination and ability to get the bat to the ball and put it in play and put it where the defenders weren't. But then after 2021, that really big down year, 2021 had a big down year. And then I was like, all right, maybe he's not as good as we really think. Maybe, this style of play doesn't really fit in today's MLB. And then he goes and wins a Silver Slugger, and the batting title in 2022. But then last year, you saw the signs of regression, and it's continued into this year. And it's like, all right, now it's like there's no more benefit of the doubt. It's like you shit or get off the pot. It's time to hit the ball, and because that's all you can do for this team. You can play solid defense and hit the ball, get hits, have a high batting average. You don't walk, you don't hit home runs, you don't drive and runs. Get hits and get on base. Simple as that.
Yeah, it sucks, but this is life, and this is growing as a fan. This is this is the way things go. Some guys just regress and they don't come back, and especially in New York, it is a really hard place to come back to where you once were. Yeah. I firmly believe you cut Jeff McNeil today or whenever the Mets cut him, and this isn't a reason to not cut him, right? But I firmly believe we're going to cut him and he'll get picked up to go play in Cincinnati. Well, probably not Cincinnati, but Pittsburgh or somewhere else in a smaller market. And he'll probably hit 300. and
I
he'll
don't think it's
probably.
a market thing for him. I think his just skills don't fit what the game is right now. It's bizarre. Like it's bizarre. He did
You
well
think
against the
you think it
Shift.
has nothing to do mentally with his game at all? You think he's mentally just still the same guy he was in 22?
I mean,
'Cause
look,
I don't think
no
so.
one can be mentally the same if they went from a batting champion to this, but I don't think it's a mental thing with Diaz where it's clearly showing that
Yeah,
the stuff is still there. With McNeil, you look at all the underlying metrics, and I mean everything is awful. Everything is awful. He doesn't hit the ball hard. He doesn't find the barrel. Like if you're not going to hit the ball hard, at least consistently find the barrel. You know, to get hit the ball with the barrel of the bat. He doesn't do that. So if you're not doing that, you're not squaring up balls well. You're not seeing it well. Something else is wrong. He's just regressing, and I think he had a very tight window for his peak and his and it's came and went.
yeah.
And I think the writing is on the wall for his DFA that or whatever it might be, whether someone wants to trade for him. I mean, Jose Iglesias coming up to replace Brett Beatty immediately starting for him. And yeah, you could say it's a day off, but I mean, to have someone come up from AAA that's been just bouncing around a career kind of bench bat, maybe spot starter, has started in the past for a couple teams. To come up and replace a guy that won a batting title 2 years ago, I think it's kind of telling.
I agree. It brings us to our next point. Christian Scott, Brett Beatty sent down to AAA. Now, I think we could agree. Both these guys are sent down for two different reasons.
100%.
From what it seems like.
And I believe it. It's not something that's like they're blowing smoke up our ass. I truly believe what they said about it, or Scott specifically.
Christian Scott gets sent down because the team is going to. I'm going to get rid of this. This is annoying over my face. Christian Scott gets sent down, I guess, because of rotational reasons, and they wanna get another reliever up here. I understand that. As for Beatty, this is where me and you disagree. Let's have the debate here and now. Beatty gets sent down. He looks like shit at the plate. I mean, there's no sugarcoating that. He looks horrible. Defensively, I think the kid's a wizard out there. I think he's
been great.
I think he's been fantastic.
Yeah. Vacuum at third base.
My issues with sending him down is, and I guess the idea of this is like, if you're gonna cut McNeil anyway, like if that's kind of something that you're thinking about anyway, then you could always cut McNeil and bring up Beatty at that point.
No.
But we kind of made a decision as an organization. It seemed in March when Vientos was sent down and Beatty stayed on the team that they were going to commit to Beatty at third base. That's our third baseman, and we're going to give him the year to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
And heated up and cooled down, and since then has not heated back up. Vientos comes back. He's playing well, and I understand Vientos getting at bats. I understand that completely.
Mm-hmm.
He's been producing, and you've got to roll with the hot hand, especially when you look as bad as the New York Mets do.
Yeah.
But that being said, I don't know, like, it just doesn't make sense to me. If you really want to see Brett Beatty and Mark Vientos get a genuine full run this year, then these guys shouldn't leave the field. And like, if we're gonna cut McNeil, then cut him. Right. Cut him and let Brett Beatty go out there and play second base every day. Like, how is Brett Beatty going to get any better playing in AAA again? I don't think so, because he's proven that he could play at the major league level. He absolutely has. He's not doing well at the plate, fine, but half this team, 3/4 of this lineup is not doing well at the plate right now, right? So my only counter and issue with this, and it's not the end of the world. Like, if Beatty comes back, in a couple of weeks, then so be it. But
yeah.
I don't think it's right. I don't think it's fair. I think it's stupid. No. You're sending a terrible message, in my opinion, to the rest of the locker room. That Jeff McNeil can fucking putz around and throw his bat and scream and cry and not produce, but a young kid that you drafted high, that you told us, and you probably told him, we're committing to you. We are committing to, and I understand, like, this is a results-based profession. I get it. right? Like
Yeah.
if Brett Beatty was hitting 285 and had an OPS, in even in the sevens, right, and was driving in runs, he wouldn't go anywhere. Vientos probably wouldn't be up here if we're being honest. Vientos would probably either be in AAA or they'd have to figure something out with him.
Yeah.
But to me, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and it does not help the progression of a young kid like Brett Beatty. Go ahead, Zach.
This is where we disagree. I mean, the whole thing with Brett Beatty, him moving to second base, I would agree with it, but this is a team that is still in it. They're there. They can win games, and if they were, well out of it or just had basically no chance, the team really just didn't look good as a whole. Like, and you still don't have any sort of confidence. Yeah, maybe just you throw him there to get at bats in the major leagues. But Jose Iglesias, who's been raking down in AAA, deserves a shot. And it's not like McNeil's getting run out there. They called him up to start, and I wholeheartedly agree, believe that Jose Iglesias
that's the right move. That's the right move to do. If you're going to call him up, play him.
Yeah, I think he's going to be the starting second baseman for now, at least, or at least probably get the majority of the playing time, hopefully, for the time being. And then Brett Beatty, it's tough because Vientos has been so good. He went back down to AAA, and he didn't hear a peep out of him. He went and hit, and he hit, and he hit, and he came back up here, and he's continued to hit. He's played very well. Defense, not so much, but at the play's been really, really good. And to take at bats away from him to give to Beatty just for the sake of getting him at bats here, it sent that I think sends a worse message. It's like, all right, well, like we're just doing this to do it. Let's send him down to AAA where he can get those at bats. He can suck or be amazing and still get those at bats. And when the time comes, if he proves himself once again, he can come up here. And it's like thing is yeah, I get you want to develop them, but at a certain point, it's got to be like you got to get it right, and you got to have there has to be some sort of minimum. And he's not putting that. And I know you talked about his hot streak at the beginning of the year, but his hot streak wasn't even that hot. He was.
I was very okay with, and we said at the beginning of the year, I was very okay with this year being a developmental year. That this year being, a year where we were going to see if we needed to pay Alonso or not. We were going to see if Brett Beatty and Mark Vientos were worth keeping. We were going to see if it was worth extending Francisco Alvarez early on in his career. We were going to figure a lot of these things out. We were going to hopefully see Drew Gilbert. We were going to hopefully see Ronald Acuna. Maybe if things went really well, if things were Ronald, I said Ronald. If things were now, no one's going to see Ronald Acuna because he's hurt
again. ACL
again. So my whole frustration about this is just like I just want to know at the end of it, like I could take being shitty this year and I could take being mediocre next year. I could take that. But what I can't take is at the end of this season, if we as a fan base and the front office is looking at both of these guys the same way we looked at them last year, like, oh, I don't know, maybe they could play every day. Like all I'm saying, Zach, is by September, I want to know what they are.
No, I think we will. But I don't think the answer is necessarily to throw a kid in a position he hasn't played in his career, or at least in his professional career. Play him out of position to try to get him just to get at bats in the lineup. Maybe when he gets down to AAA, maybe they're going to give him some run at second base. Who knows? I just don't think that's the position to put someone in that's not only been underproducing, his confidence probably a little bit taking a bit of a hit, to throw him out of position just to get at bats in the big league where he's already struggling. That could be an even bigger blow to his confidence in my room. I think that look at Vientos. Like, I'm not saying he's going to be a starter in this league or he's going to be a star in this league, but how many times has he bounced? He's ping pong back and forth between here and AAA, and look what he's done this time. It takes time. These guys are still young. So, I mean, if it means getting Beatty on the right track, getting things squared away for him between the years and, just refining his ability at the plate, I'm all for it. I mean, at this point, we need to at least try to win some ball games, and he needs to develop. And clearly it's not working here because it's not getting any better here.
Right.
What I mean? He's going to be facing talent that it's overmatching him every single time he's at the plate. His defense is great. That's not the problem. Let's not mess that up by moving him to second base. Let's get him right at the plate. Bring him down to AAA where he has crushed it before and try to build off of that.
Brett is an athlete enough that like if you move him from third, he's first of all he's got a wide frame, he's got a long body, he's fast. I firmly believe he could play second. Like
I think he could too,
if the
but
kid
I
could play
don't know
third,
how.
he could probably play second. Let's be honest with each other here.
But who knows how he's going to react with how he's been playing too? It just might compound things into a worse situation. I think that's what you look at here, and it's not the right situation. It's not like this is.
It feels like we're playing hot potato, kind of like, and it's like I just want to see it. I just want to see it with my eyes, and it's just like let me ask you something: Is Iglesias going to be on this roster next year? Probably not, right?
No.
Okay. Is Jeff McNeil going to be on this roster next year? Probably not.
I hope not.
He may not be on this roster next month, right?
Yeah, I hope not.
So those are two guys that probably won't be here. Are the Mets going to make the playoffs? Probably not. But okay, everyone is still in it. So I understand why you have to look at wins and losses, and I understand that, but ultimately, I'm going to hang my hat on this, is that I want to see these guys develop, and I don't think it's my same argument with Jose Buto. Like, okay, he's got to work on things, but maybe he's got to work on things up here. Maybe he's got to be around major leaguers. Maybe he's got to be around Jeremy Hefner and Mendoza on a day-to-day basis. Like maybe
Jose
Buto and Brett Beatty. Like I think that helps them more than pitching and playing up in Syracuse. That's just, and
I think all of it helps, but it hasn't been helping him right now. And I think maybe, and that's what the minor leagues are for. They're for development. Yeah. So sending him down there to develop further isn't the worst thing in the world. It's not like we're just it's not like the book's been closed on Beatty. It's still open. He has time. Let him get right. And I think. I know you said he's an athlete and all this stuff. Now is not the time. It's not the time and place just to force him into another position just to get him at bats. He can get those at bats while also learning the position without the fear of having to make plays. He can go down to AAA and with a little bit less.
But now let me ask you something.
Necessity, I guess you could say.
You don't want to move him to second. Fine.
Not at the majors. I don't want him to put him out of position in the majors without playing that before.
Let's play a hypothetical. In the next 2 to 3 weeks, Francisco Alvarez is going to be back on this roster, right?
Yeah.
He's playing down in AA.
Yep.
Next 2 to 3 weeks, we're going to see him back up at the major league roster. JD Martinez is here. He's the DH at a minimum until the trade deadline. Vientos is here, like a scenario where it's a month from now. Vientos is still hitting. He's a liability at third, but he's hitting, and he's hitting well. And Beatty is ripping the cover off the ball in AAA. What do? You just continue to keep him down there because,
Vientos is playing well?
Yeah. You just don't pull up Beatty. Like that's why I'm saying at some point, you got to be honest with yourself.
Maybe I spin the tires, but it also depends what's happening here. I think there's a lot of factors, and I think at the end of the day, I think the situation is going to play itself out. You know what I mean? It's going to resolve itself. I don't think all those things are going to happen. You know what I mean? The team, maybe all of those things happen, but the team's not playing well. So maybe you spin the tires on him at second base. Maybe Vientos isn't playing well. Maybe there's an injury. There's a lot of factors that are moving. We'll see when it happens. If Beatty can go down there and be consistently good at the plate, it's not just about, going up there and putting up big numbers there. It's about showing that he can correct the mistakes he's made here, which is not being able to lift the ball and not being able to barrel up the ball. Because he's someone that hits the ball super fucking hard. He just doesn't do it consistent enough.
And he's got to cut down on the strikeouts. I mean,
got to cut down. Strikeouts, I don't even care about those right now. Just do strikeouts. I think you're gonna get what you get with it. You know what I mean? I think his big thing is when he hits the ball and he barrels it up, it's loud. Just get more consistent. Consistently barrel it up. You gotta find the barrel of the bat. Yeah. You gotta hit the ball with the barrel. He just hasn't been able to do that. And when he does, a lot of the time, it's into the ground. You gotta get some lift onto that. And I don't need home runs. I just need you to find some gaps. Get it into the outfield.
He's got the power to put the ball in the seats.
He's got all of it there. He's got all the tools there. He just has to put it all together.
And
it's where it becomes. It's between the ears. It's all in his head. He needs to get in the right program too. Whatever he's doing isn't working. Go down to AAA and fix it because Yeah, I agree with that. Duran right here. Duran?
Yes, Duran Rivera. I haven't even
Duran,
looked at
yeah.
the contest. I think putting Beatty at second would put too much on his plate unless he can get reps at AAA. I mean, well, yeah, that's my point. Like once he gets down to AAA, start playing him at second base. And one of and
But
like
where's Acuna
to,
playing? Acuna
Acuna.
playing?
I mean, are you? I think like these are all conversations that the front office needs to have with each other.
There's
Like,
a lot of
are
conversations to be had,
are
and I
we?
don't think it's as simple as moving Beatty
No,
to
no,
second
no. But
base.
like, as a front office, are we? Do we want to bring Acuna up in potentially what is a mess of a locker room right now? Is that what we want to do? Because this team looks like they're going to hell in a handbag, and bringing up Acuna now
Yeah.
maybe is not the best move, right? Like
Well,
if there are some people,
I don't think it's happening right
but
now.
and also too, like
And they even said it. It wasn't even an option right now. And I think we still have another month of him continuing to play like this because he started the season off poor. He was playing like shit. He started the season playing like crap, and he's finally turning it on. The last 18 games, he's been dynamite. But this is someone that needs to show the consistency here because since he's been traded here from Texas, he has not been that good. He's finally showing the consistency and adjusting to life over here, wearing a Mets uniform. He's going to need some time, but I think taking reps away from him at second base just to get Beatty reps there isn't the smart move. He's got to prove that he's worth it as a third baseman. If he can't prove that here, maybe
he
ship him
proved
away.
it in the field. He most
He
certainly
proved it in the
proved it in the field.
But
right?
how much of that is it? How much of that is it worth? You know what I mean?
Right.
You win games. You win more games by putting runs across, putting
Runs
driving
over,
in runs that versus saving runs in the field.
Yeah, I mean, we feel this way now, and like, my hope is that all these things work out. Like, do I like? Am I more? I guess like emotionally attached to a guy like Beatty than I am of Vientos? Absolutely. I watched Beatty get drafted. I watched his first day at Citi Field and that first home run that he hit and like all of those things. And then you watch him play that tremendous third base and it brings you back to your memories as a kid watching David Wright and watching him progress. Like that's what it brought me to. So maybe Brett Beatty brings back nostalgia. Maybe that's what it is. But I hope all of these things work out. But we just gotta I don't know. And what comes with Vientos, and you know what? It's almost cynical of me to say, but it's like we're gonna be mad at Beatty grounding into double plays. There's gonna be some bumps too with Vientos here at third, because no matter how you spin it, he's a fucking liability out there.
I'll put it this way:
he is a defensive liability.
I might curse and scream when he goes and boxes a play at third base, but I'm gonna be singing his praises if he goes around and turns Jackson 3 run shot into the seats. But Beatty is the opposite, where he goes and he has bases loaded and he fucking rounds into a double play or strikes out, and then goes in the field and makes a great play. I'm like, all right, cool. You know what I mean? It's gonna be
That's
like
what you were supposed to do. Right.
You know what I mean? Like whatever, you made a nice play, cool. Why didn't you put it across 2 runs before? Why didn't you put it across? You know what I mean? Why aren't you doing anything at the plate?
Yeah,
it's like I my mood can change with Vientos doing what he does at the plate versus Beatty doing what he does at the plate.
Right.
And right now we're not getting the maximum out of Beatty. And
you're not.
Vientos has shown that he deserves this chance. He's finally done it.
I mean,
and it sends a good message to the ball.
I think it also shows how desperate the Mets are to get some sort of offense going. That like they're willing to take a plus defender out to put in basically a stop sign at third base just to get runs. And I get it. Like I understand where the Mets are at, and I don't disagree with prioritizing playing Vientos over Beatty. Like I really don't disagree with that, because this team offensively cannot do anything. Top to bottom, cannot string together hits, cannot get on base, cannot take advantage of runners in scoring position at any time. I mean, the other day against the first game against the Dodgers, Tuesday, McNeil, 2 guys got up with the bases, or rather 3 guys got up with runners in scoring position, and nothing, and that we just needed 1 run, and you end up losing that game. What was the final score? That's 7-3, 7-5, whatever. Like you just let it snowball. Like what is? I can't. It's like they lose. They're losing in like
The most epic fashion ever. It's been
fantastic fashion. Like you could not.
It's quite impressive, to be honest.
If someone handed you a Hollywood script and said this is the way they're going to lose tonight, you'd be like, absolutely, that's impossible. How would that happen? How would that happen? Like yes, you know what? I would totally buy that they would strike out, leave the bases loaded. Totally buy that. And then like somebody hits a single in the next inning, scores the guy from second. We don't score the next inning. Game over. We lose the game by a run. Totally get it. But for the Dodgers to just go, and then they did it the next day. The next day, it's a tie game. We're up 3-0. And then the next time I look at my phone, it's 10-3. Like, how? How did you manage to do this?
I don't know. It's getting impressive, but it was good to get on the board last night with the win finally, and hopefully I can continue to carry this into the rest of what's going to be starting June. Yeah.
Tonight we've got Jordan Montgomery, Luis Severino. I believe this game is on SNY. I don't think this is going to be an Apple TV game.
I hope not. And Duran, I couldn't agree with you more. McNeil's just disappointing. And on your point about Acuna, that he can alternate around those positions, shortstop's there's nothing there. There's no reason to put him at shortstop to develop. And if another team, if it was to trade him, another team can develop him there. Center field, maybe. Third base, we have Vientos, we have Beatty. No reason to put him there. Right now, it's second base and maybe center field, but I think right now his position is second base, and we shouldn't be taking that away from him just to give Brett Beatty reps there.
Beatty,
find out on SNY?
Severino versus Montgomery today.
Yeah.
Can we get Severino into the seventh inning today?
He needs to. I think a few things need to happen. He needs to be economical with his pitches, and he needs to limit his walks. I mean, look, I think Severino's been good, but he's walked too many guys, and a lot like the rest of them that's starters. And it's you can be economical to a degree, somewhat with your pitches, and then make it through 6, maybe, or there's a thought of putting you in the 7th. But if you have 4 walks at that point, I'm not going to want to throw you out in the 7th. I don't want to have a blow up inning. I know you think maybe they should test it, but it's like these guys need to show it. They need to have a solid outing 1 through 6 innings.
I'll always disagree on the pitch count nonsense. To me, it's nonsense.
It's not the pitch count. It's the walks for me. I don't want to throw a guy in the 7th inning that's hasn't had the best control, and then have him go through the order a third time.
He's not at a bad ratio here. 50 strikeouts to 26 based on balls. That's not bad. That's almost 2 strikeouts to every walk.
Yeah, but what's his walks per 9? That's what I care more about.
His whip.
How many walks did you say?
Based on balls so far this year is 26. I don't know
how many innings.
58.
58.
58.2. If that helps.
That's 2. Oh, I don't know how to do that math, but that's
1.16 whip.
How many starts? How many starts do they have?
10.
10 starts times 9. It's about 3 walks per 9.
It's not that bad for a starter.
3 walks per 9? That's not 3 1/3. That's bad. That's not good.
3 walks
per 9.
How many starts did we watch Jacob deGrom have where he walked more than 3? Where he walked 3 people? That's not crazy. What makes that worse?
DeGrom didn't walk people. He walked maybe 1 or 2 batters a game. I think
you never watched a game where DeGrom walked 3 people.
Oh, I'm sure I have, but it was few and far between. I mean, I think the big thing with the Mets is that they're top of the league in walks per 9. I mean, they're starting staff. I mean, when these guys show the lack of command that they have, it's tough to give these guys the chance in the 7th inning.
I just think I feel like we're talking out of both sides of our mouth sometimes when we say, yeah, the starting pitching's great, but they're walking a lot of guys, and we can't it's one or the other. If they're walking a lot of guys and we don't trust them, then the starting pitching isn't good. For me, I think the starting pitching's good.
Oh, it's been good, and the results have been good. I mean, the guys they've done a good job, but the thing is like there's not as much confidence. Like the confidence is fading more and more.
We're taxing the fuck out of this bullpen.
We
the
are. And
fuck out of him. I mean,
I think
like
at a certain point you need to give him that chance and you need to roll the dice with it. But I think you should also be prepared for a blow up seventh inning once you start giving these guys that extra inning.
yeah. No, I mean that's the game that you play. I think a happy medium for me is like I would just like to consistently see guys. I'm at a point of I just want to see you get to the sixth. Like if you could just start the sixth, get one or two outs, I'm happy. But we don't even see that anymore. I mean, most of these games are starters out by the fifth, or rather, at the end of the fifth, the starter's out. If he gets to the fifth, and that's just what fucking kills me. You know, I like what was Scott's pitch count out last night that we
91.
Like I feel like he could have gotten one more inning.
He was a bit
They only
shaky.
let him go 5.
A bit shaky. 91 pitches again. This is someone like I'm for guys that are young. I'm a proponent for them. You know, taking them out earlier rather than later. I would rather save these guys with confidence and save their arms. I mean, 2-3 years into his career, maybe we're talking. All right, yeah, give him the extra inning, give him the extra inning. But right now,
what point
no sense.
do you take the house plant out of the house? Like at what point do you put guys in an uncomfortable situation? Because that's what their career is going to be. Like you're going to be put in uncomfortable. Biss, how much time you got left?
Like 5 minutes.
5 minutes? Okay.
Yeah.
So this should be the last thing. I mean, my only thing is I just at some point you got to put these guys in tough, uncomfortable situations. Like we could shelter these young guys as much as we want, but at some point you've got to make things uncomfortable for them, and not uncomfortable for them, but you've got to see what they do. You've got to see how they face adversity. You've got to see how they face a challenge. And
yeah, and I think now's the time. I mean, look, we're starting to get into the summer. Bullpens are going to start getting more and more taxed, so it's time to start, letting these guys go the extra inning. And if they crumble under the pressure and they prove that that the stats they've been putting up so far just been a facade.
Right.
And we'll know more about this team. But I think to start the first few months, I was comfortable with pulling them an inning early, letting the bullpen go to work, which I thought would be a huge asset, which I still think it really can be. I think that the taxation on it has been rough. It's been rough on those guys.
What hurts them is Diaz not producing.
And Diaz has been a
if Diaz is producing, this looks a lot different.
Yeah, that's hurt. But like I said, I think we'll start to get more and more of that through June. And whatever you say, I know you're going to disagree with me wholeheartedly, but Scott, I'm all for pulling him an inning earlier than later. I think if he's out there shoving and he's, pitch count's low, he's shoving and it's non-stressful pitches, I'm all for letting him ride. But if he gets into those situations where later in the game it's more and more stressful pitches, I think you got to be quicker with that hook, on this guy. If he pans out to really be a true top flight starter in this league, we do not want him hurting himself by throwing too much.
We don't want him
this
hurting
early
himself.
in his career.
You don't want him hurting himself, but at some point you have to see what you're made of, because great pitchers can go through the order a third time.
Okay.
And if that's what we think he is,
yeah,
we've got to see it. We've got to see it at some point. But I understand, err on the side of caution, and we've had our share of injuries, so it certainly makes sense.
Yeah, okay.
I guess a good place to wrap up here. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Duran Rivera.
Thanks, everyone.
You're the best man in the comments. Much appreciated. And maybe, I guess, probably not this weekend. I got 2 graduation parties, so we'll probably
check early next week.
Yeah, early next week.
Either during the Washington series or right before the London series. Get ready for that.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and let's fucking go Mets.
LFGM.